Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. What if I told you that making more money doesn't actually guarantee you're financially secure? I know, it sounds completely backward. We're all chasing that big paycheck, right? But the crazy truth is, there are professionals out there earning six figures, sometimes even multiple six figures, and they are literally still living paycheck to paycheck. Today, we're going to break down the massive paradox of why high-income earners still struggle financially. And spoiler alert, the real reason usually isn't the income itself, it's the structure.
We got to start by busting a pretty huge myth. We all kind of just assume that if we cross a certain income threshold or finally get that massive promotion, our money worries are just going to vanish into thin air. But does making more money truly equal being financially secure? Well, for a surprising number of high earners, the answer is a hard no.
Let's be completely real here. Society tells us that when you earn a lot, your problems just magically disappear. People assume you've got it all figured out. But the harsh reality? Countless high earners are totally trapped in a paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. They're making top-tier money, but they are stressing out over the next credit card bill or mortgage payment just like anyone else.
So, let's look at part one, the high-income illusion.
Here's the absolute core of what we're talking about today. Income alone doesn't create wealth. Structure does. Look, earning money and building wealth are two completely different games. You can be an absolute rock star at your job, bringing in the big bucks month after month. But if you don't have a structural framework to actually capture and organize that money, you're never going to build lasting wealth. Period.
Which brings us to part two, the leaky bucket problem.
Picture your personal finances as a bucket. The water you're pouring into it, that's your income. Now, as a high-income earner, you are pouring a massive, heavy stream of water in there every single month. But here is the catch, and it's a big one. If your bucket has holes in it, it literally doesn't matter how much water you add. You could double your salary, triple it even, and the water is still going to gush right out the bottom. Just adding more income will never, ever fix the leaks.
So, what exactly are these holes? Well, high earners usually struggle because they're missing a few absolutely critical systems. First off, no clear emergency structure. Second, they don't have a protection plan for their assets or their livelihood. Third, zero tax strategy, which means they are definitely handing over way more to the government than they need to. And finally, no long-term asset building system. They earn more for sure, but without these systems, they just don't keep more. The water just flows right out.
Let's move on to part three, common wealth draining traps.
Okay, so what actually happens when money comes in and goes right back out? It's basically a domino effect, and it is a vicious cycle. First, your income goes up, so your lifestyle naturally creeps up. You know, a nicer car, maybe a bigger house. Because of that, your monthly expenses shoot up to maintain that new lifestyle. At the same time, because you're earning more, your taxes increase. And finally, to float this whole heavy, expensive lifestyle, your debt increases. Without a structured plan, higher income just guarantees higher spending.
And it really comes down to a few super common habits that create this dangerous false sense of security. High earners tend to upgrade their lifestyle way too quickly, well before they've secured their baseline. They rely heavily, sometimes entirely, on just one single income source, like their day job. They skip over protecting what they've built, and honestly, the worst part, they put off financial planning because they look at their bank account on payday and think, hey, I'm doing fine. But remember, being comfortable today does not guarantee stability tomorrow. I just want to pause on this for a second because it is so incredibly important. Income without structure creates stress, not security. Imagine the emotional weight of constantly having to out-earn your massive, growing expenses just to stay afloat, knowing that if you miss a single paycheck, the whole house of cards just collapses. Guys, that's not freedom. Those are just golden handcuffs, and it's exhausting.
All right, let's shift gears. Part 4, building your financial structure.
For way too long, the goal for most people has just been make more money. Hustle harder, work longer, get that promotion. But the real shift, the ultimate game changer, is changing that goal completely. Instead of just chasing money, the goal has to be to protect it, organize it, and grow it intentionally. That is exactly how you patch the holes in your bucket.
When you actually take the time to put this structure in place, the benefits are unbelievable. You actually get to keep more of what you earn. You massively reduce the unnecessary risks hanging over your family. You create real long-term growth. And honestly, you finally build deep, genuine financial confidence. That right there is the night and day difference between just having a high salary and actually building wealth.
And that brings us to part 5, from income to wealth.
Think of it like a straight-up formula. Step 1, structure turns your raw income into a solid strategy. Step 2, that strategy takes your income and transforms it into real, unshakable stability. And finally, step 3, it's that stability that actually builds true wealth. It's a progression. You absolutely cannot skip a step if you want to win the game.
If you only remember one thing from this explainer, make it this. A high income is just a tool. That's it. Think of it like a hammer. A hammer is great, but it doesn't build a house by itself, right? Without a system, a blueprint, to actually use that tool, your income is never going to translate into real financial freedom. The system is what builds the house.
So, let me ask you something to think about before we wrap up. Do you know someone like this? Maybe it's a friend, a coworker, or maybe, if we're being completely honest here, it's you. Are you someone who makes really good money, but somehow still feels stressed out, unorganized, or like you're falling behind on your goals?
If this hit close to home today, it is time to stop the leak. We need to talk about building a stronger financial structure that actually works for you. You can take action literally right now. Just check out the blog linked below, or go ahead and fill out the free consultation form right there in the description. Do not let another drop leak out of that bucket. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and let's get your money finally working for you.